What's up, guys?
Yes. This DJ will kick the floor in 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome back to Ntanzi. It is our time. It is around 10, 10:30 or something. But yes, we are here. We are here to deliver what we didn't deliver yesterday, right? You know, we are behind, but we are doing the best we can to give you the best we can, right?
Yes.
So what you know what you do, press the like button. Smash it like you mean it. We are early today, probably not sleeping. Tell me why wouldn't you be smashing that like button? See you guys these days. We come late. Most of you don't watch because we are late. You don't even know. But greetings to you. Greetings to everyone. Matthews and everyone who's in the chat. Greetings. Even those who are not in this chat, but who are watching, greetings. We appreciate you. And yes, it's not today's stuff. It is yesterday's stuff. Today's stuff probably halfway being cooked. I like it. I like chasing. As long as we're going to come early here, I don't have any problem. We are not chasing anything. It's not about who releases what first and who says what first. But we're going to say it's in our mind. And obviously, it's public opinion. And it is alleged. Our name, the studio, it is the name of the studio is allegedly the YouTube itself. Channel. It's allegedly Mzansi Reality. Everything that we said here is alleged. And that's how we roll. So greetings. 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 I'm not going to remind you to smash the like button. You do what you need to do. Emily, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm tired of Baloyi, I'm so tired of that prosecutor. And it keeps getting worse with each day. It's almost like he really wants people to check out and he wants people to lose interest in this case. He's really on a go slow. It's not even funny anymore. Like, I'm so tired of him. But then we do have to cover his evidence because at the end of the day, when we make our own judgment as the court of public opinion, we need to know what we're talking about and not be found wondering.
Yes, not be asking for or saying things that are not correct. You know who does that. We don't do that here. We are guided by facts.
It's very important.
We are still going to do exactly what we need to do
As much as
before we open
him.
our mouth. So we're going to hit straight to where we need to go. And there and there, Emily, there and there, I'll be stopping you.
Yeah, I wish we could also let in calls in between.
Yes, I will. I will give that
Governor
space on the basis of how I see the reaction here.
All the likes, because we are
Yes,
early today. I would like to
yes.
have in calls. I mean, Ankatelo Kuluma, ngene indaba Baloyi iyabhora. Cross-examination iyabhora. It's the most boring cross-examination I've ever had to sit through. It's boring. You know, asking someone redundant questions, hoping to get a different response every time. Or latching on to little things that are not of merit if you honestly, look at the whole picture. To say that, okay, you're going to use circumstantial, here and there to say because he forgot that Buthelezi was in a car and not in a car, then it means he's So that was the plan all along. You release statements via the NPA to say that you've got a solid case. And that is what you were planning on relying on, that the witness would testify, Ntanzi would testify, and the little mistakes that he makes, you are going to grasp onto them and come up with a guilty verdict based on that. How now I feel lied to. I feel like the hype in 2020, I remember people saying no ways, but then you insisted. You even took this thing to trial. You took it to trial. And this is what we're subjected to. So Baloyi resumed with Ntanzi's Capitec Bank records. By the way, guys, welcome back to the Ntanzi Reality YouTube channel. And thank you so much. Yesterday, you guys kept me company. I really appreciate it, you guys. And also, welcome to the Ntanzi Reality YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us here again for another live review of the Senzo Meyiwa trial. And also, we are covering Monday's proceedings. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's where we are. Because I don't want to treat Baloyi passing by. Because, you know, you never know. You just have to go through everything when it comes to that court. So that when you speak from a place of knowing and not a place of assuming and a place of you don't know what you're talking about. So when you confidently speak your truth, you must speak it because you know that Advocate Baloyi's cross-examination is trash, allegedly. In my opinion, it's not even alleged. In my opinion, it is a trashy, most messy cross-examination I've ever seen. Baloyi resumed with Ntanzi's Capitec Bank records. Jonas was a no-show yesterday. You know, we know he heard about the concentration on Friday. Baloyi said that they are told that Mr. Jonas will be coming, and he said that he will attend the 2 loan accounts linked to the savings account of Ntanzi. The savings account, which was still open with a balance of 2,803.37 cents. Baloyi went on to try and get Ntanzi to acknowledge these 2 loan accounts that were linked to his savings account. The loan accounts had 2 separate numbers, and Baloyi said that those loan accounts were closed at the time when your bank statement was printed on the 5th of September 2023. Ntanzi said, I don't know. And then Baloyi said that the 2 loan accounts were closed. The only one still open was his savings account. Ntanzi only acknowledged the savings account and said that he did not know the other 2 loan accounts. It's funny how he also was not now talking about the business account. Guys, do you remember he mentioned the business account? What happened to that business account? Because now during cross-examination, he's not talking about it. It's like it doesn't exist. It's like we're hearing a myth on Friday. Where's the business account now?
Maybe you were hearing a myth.
I heard it. I heard a business account being mentioned. And then Baloyi said, you see, there on the 22nd of July, there was a payment received in the amount of 50,000 rands. You said last week that you don't know what the source of these funds are. And Ntanzi said, yes, because I did not see what the transaction was named. Here it says payment received. It does not state that it is money coming from where. It does not state the source. Then Baloyi said, you've just testified that you don't know the source of those funds. The very last transaction on the 20th of August 2015 says Capitec, you know, and then he gave the account number starting with 142, ending with 2001. Baloyi decided not to read the entire number in full. Apparently, it was much longer than that. There were some last digits, you know, at the end, and he didn't read those digits. He just decided to stop at 2001. And he said that the deduction was 1,722 rands and 64 cents. And he asked Ntanzi if he saw the transaction, and Ntanzi said, yes, I can see it since it's written here, meaning the document that he was being shown. And Baloyi said, can you see that the reference for the debit, namely Capitec 142588372, the transaction on the 20th of August 2015. This is naturally after the incident. If you look at the debit of 1,722 and 64 cents, the reference of the debit is Capitec 142588377, and the rest of the numbers. Now those numbers are up to 372, my apologies, 372. And he said that if you go to page 3, that is the account number for the 60-month loan. And he asked Ntanzi if he can see that. Ntanzi said, I can see that, but my question is exactly whose account is this that we're talking of? The Capitec account or some other person's account? Baloyi said that he had just referenced the account, and it says Capitec, and the reference and the account number is 142588372, which is the same as the 60-month loan account he said was on page 3. Ramasipeli objected at this point and said, "My lord, last week you gave us an admonition by saying that when the state refers to documents, it doesn't read some of the parts, and I used the word misleading. And Mr. Mnisi also used the same word. We were admonished to say maybe he made a mistake. And in this instance, maybe he is making a mistake. The account number that is read on page 3, the multiple account number, the reference number that he refers to, although it's similar with the digits up to 372, it's got additional 3 digits that Mr. Baloyi is not reading to the court, which is 3301. So it cannot be the same as the multiple account that he refers to. And he wants the witness to comment on that. So those 2 account numbers, one is an account for the multi-loan and one is a reference number that got the account for multi-loan plus 4 additional numbers, which were 3001. They are not identical. The judge said, "Mr. Baloyi, they're saying you must read all the numbers." That's
it.
basically.
That's it.
Yeah. No, Mr. Baloyi, why are you leaving out some of the numbers? No. They are saying you must read all the numbers. Then Baloyi said, "I think we're very specific, my lord. We said up to the digit 72. Those numbers are the same as the 60-month term loan, but we will read the he said, and the rest of the numbers, my lord, it's not as if we did not place that on record." So he's saying because he stated that he was not going to read the number in full, that is equivalent to him disclosing that the number is not complete. So he just picked the front numbers that are similar to what he needs, and he referenced with the multi-loan account. So Ramasipele asked him, "What is the rest of the numbers? Are the numbers called the rest?" And Baloyi called the rest of the numbers. Baloyi then said, "Just to read the full entry, it's the entry on the 20th of August 2015. And by the way, why was he hammering so much on this loan from 2015? I still don't get the point of it all."
What he's trying to say is that Ntanzi is mistaken 2014 for 2015. That's why he was hammering on it.
But Ntanzi has not brought up the loan in his evidence in chief. Why is Baloyi attending it like it's his evidence? That's the part I don't understand.
When he was being questioned by him, he did say that he took a loan, and there was that before even Ntanzi's evidence in chief. I think it was trial in a trial or something, that he would show that there was a loan taken in 2014.
Okay. Then Baloyi then said, just to read the full entry, 20th of August 2015, it says Capitec and the reference is 142588372, and we put it to the witness that up to that point, those digits are the same as the 60-month term loan. Then there are further numbers, which he read, and they're very long. 0010603680965150820, and the debit is in the amount of 1,722 rands and 64 cents. Baloyi then turned to Ntanzi and asked, do you have any comment? Is your comment still the same? I think your comment was that you don't know the 60-month term loan. Ntanzi said, I never said I didn't know it. I never said that before the court. I said I had a loan with Capitec. I never said that I didn't have a loan with Capitec. What I'm saying is that I don't know these accounts that you are reading to me. Then you say that these numbers is the same as the other one, but the other one does not have this 2001.
Tembegile, thank you very much. Tembegile, thank you very much.
Thank
yeah,
you,
it's so So that means they do, when they borrow you money from the bank, they do create another account like FNB.
Yeah, most probably.
Okay.
Most probably, maybe they do open an account.
On the same app, linked to your account.
Yes. But Capitec people can confirm for us. Okay. It happens with FNB. I don't know about Capitec.
I know Capitec is always behind, in my opinion, when it comes to these things.
But they then said the loan that you say you do have with Capitec, is it the one of the two, the multi-loan and the 60-month term loan? Ntanzi said that he doesn't know what they call it. Then Baloyi said, but you say you don't know the two accounts that appear below the savings account number. Ntanzi said, I'm saying that, my lord, I have an account with Capitec that I know of that is written on this document. These ones you are stating, I've never been called to Capitec and told about these particular loans, and I don't know them. Well, then Baloyi said, yes, but the loan account that you say you have with Capitec, which one is it? Ntanzi said that I trust that I've answered many times, and I've said that I do have a loan with Capitec, even though I don't remember us, but I do have the loan, and I'm not done with paying for it. This is interesting. He's saying at the time he got arrested, he was not done paying for that particular loan. But guess what? The loan accounts that Baloyi is reading into the record, they are closed. Those two loan accounts are closed, and there's nothing that says that they were closed because they were not being paid for, or, amounts bounced. Something to that effect. So this was interesting. Baloyi then said, if you look at your bank statement, Mr. Ntanzi, this is the first deduction that goes off against the account on the 20th of August 2015, since the 50,000 rands fund came into your account on the 22nd of July 2015. Could this be a debit order towards that payment amount of 50,000 rands? Ntanzi said, I don't know. It is what you are saying. I don't know. Then Baloyi said, now we are trying to find out from you. It's your own account, Mr. Ntanzi. Ntanzi said, the account is mine, my lord. And then Baloyi said, now if you turn the page 16, on the 14th of September 2015, there's also another debit for exactly the same amount as the previous debit of 1,722 rands and 64 cents. And the reference is exactly the same as the one of the 20th of August 2015, namely Capitec 142588237, as you said up to this point. Those numbers coincide with the account number on page 3, and it's got additional numbers, and he listed them all. I think it's a reference number. It's different from the previous one. It started with 00016, then it went all the way and ended with 0914, And also, the only difference before, there's an objection on my left.
So the account, when was it closed?
He didn't state, but he did mention that the accounts were closed on Friday.
Were they paid off closed, or closed because they were dormant? So, yeah, that's another way of thinking about it.
They have to look for the dates when they were closed.
And why were they closed? That's why it is important to have a Capitec person testifying there.
Manje bazoyenza njani ngoba nangu Baloyi sesidileli imikhuba esingayazi esingayijwayelanga njengo layman, just going through the bank statements himself. This is quite unusual, but he's doing it.
Apparently there's a provision
For it to can be done, even in such a serious case.
When we say this law was meant for rich people, this is exactly what we are talking about.
Because a rich person would not have that.
Yeah.
They would have summoned their own.
Or this would actually support the rich person. Do you understand?
Yes.
During those times.
Yes. If they wanted to say you did the crime and
Yes.
get you convicted, it would definitely favor them.
Exactly.
Now Baloyi expressed that before an objection on his left, he said the number starting with 060, the reference is after the 001, which is the same as the previous one. The number that follows 06253250 ending with 914 differ from those of the debit of the 20th of August 2015. There's also one for October that I didn't document. I was tired, guys. But he then said that on the 18th of November 2015, there is again a debit for exactly the same amount. So he's trying to say that it was payment for the 50,000 rands loan because there were consistently the same amount of money being debited from Ntanzi's account. Well, Ntanzi asked him why he was not calling the 2,000 number. He said it's split and it's different. He ends at the 37, and he said it's one number and they're combined. You just omit the 4 digits towards the end and then call the following numbers that says 06556043. Well, Baloyi said, Mr. Ntanzi, it might have escaped your attention. I did read the whole numbers. And Ntanzi said, no, you see where it ends. He doesn't read it entirely. He was now talking to the interpreter to say, but he doesn't read it entirely. He's not calling the 2001. He ends at 37. Baloyi then said, let's look at the first transaction on the 20th of October 2015. The very first transaction, there's a payment to account 142588372. The amount is 73 rands 13 cents. And he asked if he sees that, and he says,
why did Ramusipile say he failed to get the statement?
He said he did go and ask for the statement. He did get the power of attorney from Ntanzi, but they still gave him a hard time. They still didn't want to assist him.
There's something fishy then. Because in South Africa, that is allowed.
It is. Not is mangele sonke.
So
petty power of attorney, you can't get stuff.
So what they want these things to be subpoenaed through the state. But that is exactly the point. Because if that is the case, then they go through the same person that made them.
And after hearing about that other bank, I'm a bank in South Africa. Pella, we are watching what is happening with Ntanzi now, and you're asking yourself, I'm a lawyer client to this bank for years, and when I'm in trouble, do you know that bank statement alone could have gotten Ntanzi out of this whole mess if they just gave it to him? Now he has to sit in jail, beg and beg and beg and beg for his own bank statements to prove that he wasn't anywhere near the crime scene. And this is what they do. This is how they do. This is how they choose to handle the situation. Ngiyasaba mina angiyiboni kahle lento lena. I don't know what's going on. But then Ramasipili did explain everything. And he did make sure that he puts it on record. Because right now we'd be looking at him sideways. We'd be looking at him sideways as if like he didn't even try. But at least from 2022, he's been asking for the bank statements. And he did express that his power of attorney seems to not be enough.
Beltangwenya, thank you.
Thank you, Belta. Baloyi then said, let's look at the transaction on the 20th of October 2015 in the amount of 73 rands 13. Do you see that? And you'll see that the account number is exactly the same. Ntanzi said, I can see that you are saying that it is the same, but in the other side it has 001, and on the other side it reflects without the 001. There was a back and forth between Baloyi and Ntanzi regarding these numbers that are not exactly the same. The other one had extra numbers at the end, while the other ones did not. And Baloyi could not explain that difference to Ntanzi, and Yeah. That's why a financial forensic person from Capitec is necessary to come and speak on this witness, to explain to the witness what is going on. But our prosecutor, now and again, who speaks on bank statements, decided to do this one man. Baloyi said that the difference is the one is debit and multiple numbers of 1,722 rands and 64 cents, and it's a reference number of the debit. But this one is a direct payment into that account of 142588837. Now Ntanzi said, how was it paid, direct and or by hand, or how was it paid? Baloyi said that it's a direct payment. These are your bank records, and it's a direct payment into that account of 142588837, which is the loan account that Ntanzi says he doesn't know. And Ntanzi said, that's not my account number. Baloyi said, now, if you go below the third transaction on the 30th of October 2015, there again a direct payment, and it says payment to, and it gives an account number of 142588372, and the amount is 1,649.51 cents. And that account number, wherein a direct payment of 1,649 was made, is the same account number that appears on page 3 of the 60-month term loan account, namely 142588237 that Ntanzi says he doesn't know. Ntanzi said, my lord, I can see that, but according to my knowledge, I only have one account with Capitec, that it has many other accounts within it that I don't know. On the 30th, it's written payment received transfer 2,400 rands and 74 cents, which does not even indicate where the money is coming from. Because even my phone would write, if it was a bonus money, then it would write or be written as bonus money. If it was my salary, it would be written, as my salary. Here, I don't see bonus money and I don't see my salary. I would get a bonus at the end of the year. And then Baloyi said there's a difference for that payment. However, we're busy with the direct payment into that account number of 14258882372, which is the 60-month loan, which is the same as the multi-loan account, the 60-term loan. And Ntanzi said Capitec would debit from my account. There is no money that I paid as a direct payment. Already there's another glitch now. So he's speaking of direct payments. Ntanzi saying, no, I never made direct payments. They always debited from my account.
Yes.
So we have a problem now. Then Baloyi said, if you add the two amounts...
There is no direct payment. There is no direct payment of loan. I mean, unless you are at that stage. There is no bank that would allow you to take loan knowing that they cannot debit your amount, your salary. So I don't understand the direct payment meaning.
And he doesn't describe what type of direct payment. Does it mean that he had the account number and he entered the money into the account number with a cash deposit, or he took money from another account and transferred it to go to another account to pay for the loan? He's not describing any of that, but he wants Ntanzi to comment on stuff that even he seems to lack understanding of. He can't explain it. If he can't explain it, then it means it's not for him to testify on,
Yes.
Then he said that if you add the two amounts, the 73 rands 13 cents paid directly into the account of 142588237 on the 20th of October 2015, and the 1,649.51 cents paid directly into an account of 1,425,882,372 on the 30th of October 2015, those two amounts add up to the 1,722 rands and 64 cents, which seems to have been the installment amount, or the amount that he needed to pay back. every month if this is his amount that he was paying back. But it seems like Ntanzi doesn't know it. Which will be the same debit amount as the previous two debits, the one for the 20th of August 2015 and 14th of September 2014. Ntanzi said, I did state before the court that there's no money I directly deposited. Capitec would debit from my account. I never made any direct payments. Baloyi then said, if we look again on the 18th of November 2015, there's again a payment to account 142588237 and the amount is 13 rands and 78 cents. Now that account number is exactly the same as the 50-month term loan on page 3. Do you have any comment? And Ntanzi said, I can see what you are showing me. And then Baloyi said, on the 18th of November 2015, there is a deduction of 1,722 rands and 64 cents, same as the previous debit amount. And the reference is Capitec 1425883720001. And up to that point, the reference is the same as the previous. The difference will be the following numbers, which is 0655416040158118. What is your comment? And Ntanzi said, there's nothing to answer to, my lord. Because even if I ask you a question, you're going to tell me that I'm not supposed to ask you questions. See, this is pointless. It's pointless. And then he said, now you are saying I made a direct deposit to Capitec and I never took money by hand to go and put it in Capitec, meaning that he never made a deposit for the loan in particular at Capitec. And he said it's the money that they debited themselves. Then Baloyi said, yes, you'll recall that it's a direct payment into that account 142588237. Ntanzi said, by hand payment, what do you mean direct? Then Baloyi said, Mr. Ntanzi, these are your bank statements. It could have been your transfer from your account directly into the... Why do you pretend as if you don't know what's going on in your account? Why are you going to pretend? And he was upset. He was upset while he was saying this, you know. And I felt like he was deflecting. I mean, you could have saved yourself all of this headache by calling the Capitec person. How can't he? For all we know, these statements could have taken someone else's loans and put them there. For all we know, we wouldn't know. I get it, you didn't bring the person from Capitec. So we're just going to assume the worst and speculate the worst. You are not helping your case. Well, Ramasipili said, Mr. Baloyi says, why do you pretend as if you don't know what's happening in your account? When we are talking about the account for the 1st of January 2014 to the 31st of July 2015, that is unfair. That is an unfair comment, my lord. And then Baloyi said, Mr. Ntanzi keeps on asking questions about his own account. But be that as it may, the information is there. On the 15th of December 2015, there's another debit in the amount of 1,722 rand and 64 cents, and the reference is Capitec. And up to that point, the digits are the same as the 60-month term loan that appears on page 3. Then there are further digits which appear on the previous debits. Then there are additional numbers. He said, do you have any comment? And Ntanzi said, there's nothing that I will respond to in the court, because even now, the prosecutor is saying that this 73 rands was paid by hand directly, but now he's saying it was a transfer. Now, what am I going to listen to and leave out here in court? That is why I'm saying that the loan money that they debited it themselves. There are no direct payments that I made. Baloyi said, Mr. Ntanzi, that's your own account. We said it's a direct payment that can be made in the form of a transfer. How? Where does it indicate that it was a transfer? Ntanzi said, but there is no transfer here. It must be written transfer, that this amount money left the account. There is no transfer where I'm reading from. Isn't that interesting? Very interesting. Baloyi then said, now ask you once again, Mr. Ntanzi, is it possible that the 50,000 rands that arrived in your account on the 22nd of July 2015 was a loan from Capitec? Ntanzi said, I don't know because I don't recall the date of the loan. If it was written here, I would tell, but it is not written. All that is written is payment received. But I then said, and given the fact that the reference for the debits is Capitec and the first digit up to the digits ending with 72 are the same as the account number on page 3, where the debits that appear from the 20th of August 2015 in the amount of 1,722 rands and 64 cents were the debits towards the service of that loan. Ntanzi said, I would have given a better answer if on this document it indicated that the debit was from the loan, but these documents don't give a clear picture. It's only payment withdrawn and received here. Then Baloyi said, in your evidence in chief, Mr. Ntanzi, did you not say that you were not familiar with Johannesburg? Ntanzi said, even now, I still stand by that submission. Baloyi said, if you look on page 14, the handwritten page 14, on the 25th of July, you made a purchase at Spitz. I don't know. I don't know why it's handwritten. I don't know. And I don't know. Why is it handwritten and supposed to be coming from a bank? Angas. He said, using your card, the purchases were in the amount of 1,695 rands. Ntanzi said that it shows that he did buy those things, but it was on his way to going home. It shows Nongoma on the very same day of the 25th. So he was passing by Johannesburg town just before he got into the taxi that goes to Nongoma. And he decided, let me get into the store and buy myself
it says 25th.
something.
This happened on the 25th of what? 2014?
25th of, it was in 2015, I think, 2015. It was the 25th of July.
Yeah.
Then Baloyi said, now we have already put it to you, Mr. Ntanzi, that during your evidence in chief on the 17th of February 2026, you were asked by your counsel whether you were in the vicinity of Vosloorus area on the 26th of October 2014. Your response was, I don't know Vosloorus. And Ntanzi said, I don't know Vosloorus. Baloyi said you later watered down your version that you might have been at Vosloorus once to do the traditional dance, but you remained at the venue.
How is that watering it down?
I don't know. Because watering it down would mean that indeed he does know Vosloorus.
And watering it down, it would actually mean that he said he has never been in Vosloorus in his lifetime. And then he says, I did went there. I did go there. In fact, I did go there with Ngom. Now that's watering it down.
I get you. Then Baloyi said, in this regard, we wish to refer you to the evidence of Mr. Jack Buthelezi given on the 5th of September 2023. Well, Baloyi said that the state asked, was there any past time that that you saw that while you were staying at the hostel? And Mr. Buthelezi said we would spend time together in the same place. The state at the time was Advocate Baloyi himself, cross-examining Mr. Buthelezi. Over the weekend, he asked, how did you pass time over the weekend? And Buthelezi said that some of the weekends would go to Joburg or Gauteng, and then myself over the weekend I'd remain in the hostel. And Baloyi said, to do what in Johannesburg? And Buthelezi said he would dance. He would traditionally dance at his place of work. Baloyi said yes, but when he went to Johannesburg, as you mentioned, what was he doing there? This is now with reference to you, Mr. Ntanzi. Mr. Buthelezi responded as follows. He said, because most of the time, he would come to Johannesburg to come and do the traditional dance. Baloyi said, do you know where he dances traditionally? The celebration of the song or the dancing would be done wherever, however he would go, and he would go and do the traditional dance for the Vosloorus team. Apparently, this is what Mr. Buthelezi said. I can't recall. It's been a long time ago. I would have to relook or rewatch the video I did on Buthelezi's evidence. Baloyi then said, and where did the Vosloorus team dance? He said, anywhere in the vicinity of Gauteng. Ntanzi's response, my lord, I hear what is being said here by Buthelezi. First of all, I've never did traditional song and dance with Buthelezi. Uthi angaze ngidlala ingoma no Buthelezi. When I got to Rustenburg, I told my brother Ubuti Shoes that I would not be able to go to Johannesburg to perform traditional song and dance because it is far. Secondly, I've never camped at Vosloorus for traditional song and dance. The camp we used was at East Driefontein in Masizakele, where I used to stay. There was a hall that we used to camp at. When there was no camp there, then it would be where Butisia Bonga from Zondo, the mine at Kloof. What is being said here is not true that I would do traditional Zulu traditional dance with the people from Vosloorus. The people from Vosloorus, I would meet with them back at home, because when I'm here in Johannesburg, I would go and perform with different people. Then at home, I would join the team back home in December. The team in Rustenburg was established around 2013-2014. There was no team before then. People like Buthelezi were a part of it. Buthelezi was the skulu. Mr. Anonymous, what is a skulu? Ngomeni, skulu.
The senior, the head of
Do they also dance?
No, they just facilitate.
They facilitate, they choreograph.
Choreograph.
Okay, choreographing, it means like organizing the dancers. Do they do that? They arrange them.
Yes, they do that. But mostly it's all about money. When they have to travel, for example.
Or they do the admin.
It's not doing the admin, sponsoring.
Or
in
sponsoring.
A sense.
Okay. So he said that for the team, for Rustenburg, Buthelezi, Begui School.
We got disconnected. I don't know why.
Every time we go live early, this always happens. Why?
Yes, it does. All the time. Without fail. But I didn't expect it at 11. Normally it's at 12.
Why though?
I don't know. I really don't know. But you are back on now.
Okay. All right, should I continue?
Yes.
He said that he was a skulu. Ubuthelezi was a skulu. That's what Ntanzi is saying. And he said before
He
I
was a
went
leader or captain or
yeah.
you call it whatever. It's cool Sepolo, Ivan Koza is obviously in charge of the club. In a sense,
Okay.
you're in charge of that thing. That's basically what.
He said, I was not in Rustenburg in those years. And Baloyi said, and Mr. Jack Buthelezi is your friend, is it not? And Ntanzi said, I first met him in Rustenburg for us to meet and talk when I came with Uzondo. And then Baloyi said, and you said he brought you toiletries on the 13th of July 2020 after your appearance at the Klabani court. And Ntanzi said, yes. Then Baloyi said, this evidence of his was not disputed that you danced for the Vosloorus team. Ntanzi said, I'm here before the court now and I'm disputing it. Even if you go fetch the person that I was performing with, the one who was leading me, he's still alive. Ikosa Lenkoma. He will tell you that I am not a part of the team in Vosloorus. So after the short adjournment, Baloyi now went back to the record of the 7th of November 2023 when Mr. Jack Buthelezi was cross-examined. He read where Buthelezi said that he only knew accused number 2, Bongani Ntanzi. He said he started seeing him in 2008. He said that they were in a Zulu ceremony called Ngoma. This is where I have to pause and say, but seeing him does not mean that you know a person. You can see a person, but not know them, right?
Yes.
And he said that then after he said they again met and then got introduced to one another. Eventually he stopped working where he was working and he came to reside with him at his house. Then Baloyi says, so this is someone you stayed with. And we asked him, where was that? He said in Rustenburg. And We asked him, what was the house or what was the position? Mr. Buthelezi said, we were staying in a house in a hostel. And we asked him, when did you start to live with him? He said, we stayed with him together there. We waited for him to find work until such time he eventually got some work. Now, as he was working, there was time that he was losing a job, or the job was ending. Then he decided to go to Impala, another mine. Well, Buthelezi said, when I came back from home after the lockdown, I then received another message or report that he was actually arrested or detained. Baloyi then said, when you say he was staying with you, who else was he staying with you at the time? Buthelezi said that he was also staying with Zondo and Mbili. It was a total of 4 of them that were staying together. Baloyi then asked, you mentioned that he lost a job and found another job. Did you play a role as far as that is concerned? Buthelezi said, yes, I'm the one that was very instrumental in finding him another job. In fact, I was assisting him a lot. Baloyi asked him, how did you assist him? And Buthelezi said, I was representing him to those who were in a position to can employ people. Then Baloyi said, was he then employed as a result of those efforts that you made? And Buthelezi said, indeed so. And Baloyi said, the reason why we bring these portions to your attention, Mr. Ntanzi, is here is someone who is kind to you. He has provided you with accommodation. He has helped you find a job. There's surely no reason for him to lie that you were dancing for the Phosphorus team.
That is not
and
lying.
That you used
that
to
is
perform.
That is, someone can confuse things.
Yeah.
That is not lying.
And he was a school, right? He wasn't a dancer himself.
Yes.
It could be easy to.
Someone can come across me and say, I used to play for a certain team.
While you never
because he
played
has seen me
team.
play. He knows that I'm a player.
Yes.
He knows me from the ground.
Yes.
But he could have forgotten the team that I used to play for.
Okay. Well, Ntanzi said, my lord, the first thing that I'm going to respond to on what Buthelezi said is that there is somewhere where he has confused the dates.
Exactly.
He said in 2008, I was not working. I was doing the Zulu traditional dance, but I did not know Buthelezi. 2009 was the first time that I was employed in April. Whereas when I saw Buthelezi confusing the dates is 2019. In 2019, I was staying at Freedom Park. I would go on weekends to Buthelezi's house when I'm off and not working. Lastly, I never performed for the team in Phosphorus. I had my own group that I was affiliated to. Since you say you took Gwabini's phone, there should be pictures. He was the one performing for that team of Phosphorus, not me. You'll even see that we were not wearing the same trousers. I don't dispute that Buthelezi is my brother, but what he said, there are portions that I'm disputing. This brings me back also, Mr. Anonymous, to how Mr. Buthelezi came and testified and was a state witness, and yet he's so close to Ntanzi, and we at the time we felt like he was being threatened. His testimony now that I'm reflecting, it looks kind of rushed. It's like he didn't even have time to think about events properly. He was ambushed. It's giving I was ambushed.
He was.
And then Baloyi said, so, okay, before I go to that part, let me cover this one. Baloyi said, now move to the cross-examination of Mohani by Mgomezulu on the 7th of November 2023, where Mgomezulu said that, Mr. Mohani, before we proceed, I just want to take us back to the question which you asked Mr. Ntanzi, but about his whereabouts on the 26th of October 2014. I need to clarify something. On the 26th of October 2014, when he answered you according to the instruction that I received, he said if he was not at work, then he's at home. At work, according to instructions, means that he's either working or he's at the compound or the workplace inside the company where he's working. Baloyi said, so here, Sergeant Mohani did ask you about your whereabouts on the 26th of October 2014. Ntanzi said the last time I spoke to Sergeant Mohani was not in the boardroom. But then I never spoke to Sergeant Mohani. I was speaking to Gininda and Mabena in the boardroom. On the 17th, I never spoke to Mohani. As to how Mgomezulu put it, I don't know. Perhaps it was his way of searching for information from a witness. Baloyi then said, Sergeant Mohani answered, that is how he put it. But for me, when he said that he was at work, it implied that he was in the mine. Mgomezulu then said, all right, if according to you, you thought he was inside the mine, he was working, he would not conflict with his version that he was at his workplace. And if he's not at his workplace, he's at home, you will not conflict with the version. Mohani said, if you can explain what you mean when you say home. Mgomezulu said in KwaZulu-Natal. Mohani said, I don't remember him telling me that he was in KwaZulu-Natal. What I remember was that he told me that he was at work. Then Baloyi said, so Mr. Ntanzi, this underscores that you never told Sergeant Mohani that you were at home in KZN. Ramasipil objected at this point and said, my lord, that cannot be correct. Given that my learned colleague has just read now, he says that the response given by Mohani is, I cannot recall whether he told me that he was at home. He does not say that he did not tell me that he was not at home. That's the difference. Baloyi then said this underscores the fact that Sergeant Mohani testified that he does not remember you telling him that you were in KwaZulu-Natal. What he remembers is that you told him that you were at work. Ntanzi said, my lord, my response for me to respond to him in the manner that I responded to him was because to me, he said that I was not working. I resided in Vosloorus. I told him that I do not stay in Vosloorus. I'm working. And they also said that I'm in the taxi industry. Again, he came, before you, this court, and said that I was selling illegal substances in Vosloorus. What time would I be able to sell illegal substances when I'm working? I stay in Carltonville. Where do I stay in Vosloorus to be able to sell these illegal substances? Does it mean that I go underground and then go to Johannesburg to go and sell these illegal substances? So he goes underground, according to Mohani and the cold case team. He's living a double life. That is very hectic for someone who works underground. You work underground and then you travel all the way. You don't even have a car, by the way. You use public transport, carrying illegal substances to go and sell them in Vosloorus. Ngapa, you are in the taxi industry.
I was going to have to, some of these things clarify with Ramasipil.
Baloyi then said, you see, the evidence of Sergeant Mohani was the fact that you mentioned that you were at work on the 26th of October 2014. Was the reason why they went to retrieve your clocking records? And Ntanzi said, my lord, that is not true. They are the ones who were disputing the fact that I was not working. They said I am in the taxi industry in Vosloorus and I didn't have a job. Baloyi then said, have the police ever been to your home village in KwaZulu-Natal to follow up on your version that you were at home? If you were not at work, you were at home. Ntanzi said, my lord, I don't know. I was not a part of the investigating team. Then Baloyi said, but you have not accompanied the police to your home village in KwaZulu-Natal. Is that correct? To investigate your version that if you are not at work, then you are at home. Ntanzi said, they never took me home and never went home with me. Baloyi then said, so they only obtained your clocking records that were traversed last week, and that was all the follow-up investigation that they did with your version. Ntanzi said, my lord, that is all I know, because they went to the white man and spoke to him in English as I spoke to him in Fanagwalo. Then Baloyi said, so the second part of your version, that if you are not at work, you are at home, was not investigated. Ntanzi said, I don't know, the question is good only if it was directed to Sergeant Mohani, who is the one who arrested me. The case he mentioned here in court, I was hearing about them for the first time. The case of Nongoma, the one of illegal substances. There was a docket. I first heard of it in this court. Imagine. Then Baloyi said, but You said you don't carry any knowledge that the police went to your home village to investigate your version. You also did not accompany them to your home village to investigate your version. Ntanzi said, yes, my lord, I don't have knowledge, even up to now. Then Baloyi said, we put it to you, Mr. Ntanzi, that the fact that the only clocking records were obtained is indicative of the fact that you only told them about your whereabouts on the 26th of October, that you were at work as they have testified. Then what happens when others testify otherwise, that the cold case did make it to Ntanzi's village?
Now it becomes a new story.
Ntanzi then said, no, that is not true. As I'm stating or saying before the court, they said to me that I was not working. I'm in the taxi industry. Baloyi now moved on to the Section 205 records of Ntanzi's alternative number ending with 8460, the one that they said they did not take, the small Anyana phone. Yes. Advocate Baloyi has a Section 205 for a phone that the people that arrested Ntanzi said they didn't know it. They never took it. They don't know what he's talking about. Advocate Baloyi has a Section 205 for that. Let it be known. Let it be clear on the record. Well, Baloyi said you've already testified that the clocking records were retrieved at shaft number 8 on the 18th of June 2020 when you were here with Sergeant Mohane and Mabena. You also testified that shaft number 8 is also known as Komanani, and the shaft number 8 is in the western side of the mining complex. Ntanzi was very conflicted, didn't know what he meant by the word complex. Baloyi said shaft number 4 is on the eastern side. And then Baloyi says, so Western Driefontein and Eastern Driefontein, and Ntanzi said yes. And number 2, they also call it West. Quite an amount of time was spent actually directing Baloyi to this shaft number 4. And Baloyi said yes, but is the hospital on the eastern side of the mine? Ntanzi said east, close to the compound of Masiza Kele. Baloyi then asked another redundant question. So Masiza Kele is also on the eastern side. And Ntanzi said, yes, in your evidence in chief, you testified that you do not spend much time in shaft number 8. Is it correct? I don't know what the point of all of this was, you guys. Ntanzi then said it didn't take long because we took the documents that we took and proceeded to the vehicle, and then they left for East Driefontein. Baloyi then said, could it have been about 30 minutes that you spent there at shaft number 8? Ntanzi said, I don't know, since I did not have the time with me. Then Baloyi said, in your evidence in chief, you stated that you spend most of the time in the east side where the hospital is. And Ntanzi said, yes, that is correct. And then Baloyi said, after leaving shaft number 8 on the western side and going to the hospital side of the eastern side, did you go back again to shaft number 8 on the western side? Ntanzi said the car did go back. Himself and Mabena did not leave the car and go. Only Mohane is the one who did that, and he entered and spoke to the security there, and the security called him. It called Ntanzi, and then they entered some kind of number, and then Mohane entered. He said, I didn't know where Mohane was going. He had nothing in his hands, and the papers that he took on the other side were with us in the car. Then Baloyi said, do you perhaps know what he was or he went to do to the second time around at shaft number 8? And Ntanzi said no. Baloyi showed him the cell phone records of his other number ending 8460, and he said, according to the cell phone records, you've testified that on the 18th of June 2020, you went to Sergeant Mohane and Sergeant Mabena with them to Carltonville. Now, if you look at the time, 11:10:45 on the 18th of June 2020, your number ending 8460 received an incoming text message in the tower is 3G West Driefontein Mine NGA. Was it more or less the time that you went to retrieve your clocking records? Ntanzi said, I hear you, but I did not have the time with me. So, can we say that Baloyi is conceding that the police had the phone? Or he's still trying to say Ntanzi had the phone? What is going on?
No, here what he just wanted to show is that these events that happened during the time of pulling the information, they happened in a sense trying to make it look like, yeah, it did happen and they took so much time. So he also wanted to establish the time they took there using the cell phone.
Because he did go through the clocking records, the phone records. I'm not going to go through them because I want to finish.
So in a sense, it's saying it happened. They did go there.
Okay. Then Baloyi went now to Goldfields now. He said, under East Driefontein Goldfields, that's a gold mine. The mine where Shoes and Makosonke work. They fall under Western area. The mines worked by us fall under Carltonville. Then Baloyi said, including Goldfields Shaft 4. Ntanzi said they extract gold only. There is no platinum or chrome mine, only gold mines. Even now, if you call the white man, have them show you my clocking card, it will tell you that it's written Goldfields. He said his first clocking card was written Goldfields on it. As time went on, the mine changed to Sibanye. Hey Nina, speaking of Sibanye, did you see that lawyer?
The hell?
She was representing Sibanye. Stillwater.
Yeah.
When Ntanzi was working.
Yep. They took her out.
Baloyi continued with the calls of accused number 3 in December of 2014.
These mines are dangerous. Working for this mine, it's dangerous. It's not them per se that are dangerous also. It's just people, because sometimes they take people for granted. People lose their livelihood. What do you think?
And they saw that protesting didn't work. I mean, look at what happened in Marikana.
Yes, what do you think? And when you want to be the boss who breaks that, who's going to be the one who determines what happened? So they look at you as a person who's a problem.
This is the most shocking thing that has ever happened. I was like, you're in the middle of CBD. Who busy kangaka?
Who is? But it's a taboo now that it's CBD. It's not a safe place to go to if you have enemies.
It's not. Well, December 2014, 2008-43, there was an MTC at Dronkloof, SGS1. The judge said, sorry, have you dealt with the query about the towers coinciding? What he's basically saying, Mr. Ntanzi, is that if you are going west, the tower will be situated in the west. If you are going east, it will be situated in the east. In other words, if I recall Fine Tillingam's evidence, is that some of the towers coincided. Baloyi then said, yes, that is the point, my lord. We'll refer to that relevant evidence of Pinky. Then Ntanzi said, yes, I hear you, my lord. I was responding to the towers that I'm seeing here. He said, I'm responding.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Just like the tower at Kloof, there are shaft at Kloof. Nisi then got up and said, for the purpose of my record here, we need to be very specific. Mr. Ntanzi says the state is mixing these towers. Some towers are from within Western area. Some towers are falling within the Carltonville area. There cannot be an overlapping of towers because from Western area to Carltonville, it's almost 50 kilometers. So there can't be any overlapping, as it was alluded to. Miss Pinky Fine Tillingham. Fortunately, I know these areas, my lord. There can't be any overlapping in terms of towers. And Bam Sugela Pelu Pinky never said that.
No.
He said, I don't know how towers work in terms of their overlapping, but I did not hear Pinky Fine Tillingham say that when one tower is situated 50 kilometers from the other tower, there can still be an overlapping.
No way. He didn't say that. He estimated 25.
25, right. And then the judge said, yeah, in Patelani, it's about 250 meters. Is it miles? Is it kilometers? Asking to Advocate Baloyi. Then Baloyi just said yes. And the judge said it's 250 kilometers. How? Ihaba. How?
Hey, namanga. And that means that the judgment is gonna be full of mistakes and lies.
Yeah, it's Baloyi judgment, how it's going to be looking like. So Baloyi then said, yes. Nisi said, I'm sorry, my lord. What the court is suggesting here is that it's my chair, Mr. Anonymous. My chair.
That plays on my teeth. Shingi, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's my chair. I apologize.
No, it's not an issue.
But then they said, I'm sorry, my lord. What the court is suggesting here is that from here to Kwandebele is almost 100 kilometers from Pretoria, because they're in Pretoria, to Kwandebele. It's 100 kilometers. And from here to Potgieter's, actually 250 kilometers. It's a distance from here to Polokwane in Limpopo. Then the court is suggesting that a tower in platinum areas or in the rural areas, a person can be here and be 250 kilometers, and then the nearest tower would still be able to pinch this. Yo.
See, Matsirizo, thank you. God bless you. God bless you guys. 250 kilometers is just, it should be worrying that he continues in this line of thinking and fagazing. It should be worrying. It's something to be looked at, because what is he going to make judgment based on if he is actually making such evidence as we go?
And he's not paying attention. He's not listening. He's not listening to the evidence, guys. He's not. Because how on earth did he come up with 250 kilometers? And then he said, okay, fine. And then he looks at Baloyi and said, are you going to call Pinky? Are you going to not call Pinky, deal with Pinky's evidence? Baloyi then said, yes, it's on record, my lord. Oh, Baloyi is just saying yes.
Oh, what is he supposed to do? Play along. I mean, the judge is on your side. What are you supposed to do? If a judge says a sun is a moon,
knew that 250 kilometers is off.
If a judge says a sun is a moon, then it is what it is, man. I want to win. That's what Baloyi is saying.
He did not give him a heads up, but to say, my lord, 250 kilometers is a bit of a stretch. It's a bit of a stretch because it's a distance that we'd have to estimate from here, perhaps, to Polokwane. You know, we just yes. The judge said, deal with the evidence of the expert.
He's even directing him. He's even directing him. You need to support me.
Well, Mshalala also came in with a very important objection there. He said, my lord, it's also unfair to ask this witness about the communication and towers linking the cell phone number for accused 2 and 3. And then the judge said, but he's the one who's making the point. And then Mshalala said, on the towers. And then the judge said, that's it. He's coming with the directions that when it goes east, west, he's making a technical point. Let's deal with it. If it's possible, Pinky Fantelengem's evidence. Then Mshalala said, but my lord, it is the state that is putting this evidence to the witness and inviting the witness to comment. And then the judge said, he comments on scientific forensic evidence. That is why I say, let's listen to what the expert said. Then on Scanprat. And then Baloyi said, we just placed the towers on record. And then he chose to prefer a comment. Mshololo said, my lord, the towers cannot just be put on record for fun. If they are put on record, it's for the witness to comment. Unless if he is told you need, to not comment. It's just being placed on record, which is what's not happening there. He's just going about putting stuff on record and then asking Ntanzi for a comment just to make it look like he's doing something. But actually, he just wants to put this useless stuff on record, in my opinion. But I then said, we'll refer to the evidence of Ms. Fantelengem. I see it's almost time for the long adjournment. They took the long adjournment. When they came back, he said that during the proceedings of the 12th of June 2024, Pinky said that the coverage areas of the towers in urban areas is anything from 2 to 500 meters up to 2 kilometers because the area has built up, buildings. In rural areas, it can be anything from 15 to 25 kilometers, not 250 kilometers. Not
What did Fazile do?
250.
Keep quiet.
He kept quiet. He did not say, "Oh, I was wrong," or, I was. He kept quiet, like it never happened. But I then had also to ask Ntanzi if he had any comment. Like, Ntanzi utsena kae mo? Why didn't you ask the judge for comment? He's not the one who said 250 kilometers. He's not the one who said that. You are the ones who said that. Then Ntanzi said, "No, nothing to answer, my lord." He said he was just answering to the towers. He said are from Kloof and Carltonville. Those are two different areas. When I look before the court, it can't be that I'm still in town in Nongoma and my phone reads the tower in Ulundi in town in Mahlabatini. Baloyi then said, "Mr. Ntanzi, what will also help is if you look at the times. It gives an idea of the proximity of the towers. If you look at the times, you will see that the times between the towers is less than 5 minutes at the most." And Ntanzi said, "I can't measure 5 minutes. When you turn to go to Carltonville, this is like the one of the home tower from Vodacom at home. The one in Kloof is like that one." He said it's actually located in a mountain. When you go to Carltonville, there it is in the mountain in the east. He said, "I can't measure its distance." Then Baloyi said, "Let's look at the times. For instance, at 2000 hours in 00:20:00:23, the towers Duran Kloof SGS. Then 3 minutes later, 20:03:41, the tower is Goldfields. Then at 20:05:19, the tower is Duran Kloof SGS. Then 3 minutes later, at 20:08:43, the tower is 2G Duran Kloof SGS. Then just about 5 minutes later, it's 20:13:33. And he said that given the times, Mr. Ntanzi, do you see that the towers are in close proximity? Ntanzi said, "I did explain to the court that when I look at this Kloof, these areas are far from Carltonville." And then there's Abelholzer that Ntanzi identified. It is way ahead of Carltonville. He said you pass by town and then you enter Abelholzer, then go to Kutong, then it's Frienisberg, then Potchefstroom. He said, "I don't know the areas, ahead from there." And this is him going through accused number 3's section 205. For October 26, December, the 1st of December. He went through the section 205 for the 1st of December of accused number 3 in 2014. He said approximately 39 days later after the incident. But then, the thing about it is that accused number 3, how it's picking up, he's passing by. Uyadlula. Because the seconds in between, I even wrote them down here. The difference is like seconds before it picks up another tower. So it seems like he was on the highway, bedlula, yabo. But then Advocate Baloyi is making it seem like they stopped there. They stopped at Duran Kloof. They stopped at Carltonville. They stopped.
Yeah.
And then that's how he's making it seem. But the seconds, the split seconds, 18:20:16, 18:20:40, 20:00:23, 20:00:41. Like the times, it's splitting by seconds in between these two towers. So it started off at Kensington at around 6. And then by 8 o'clock, they are at Duran Kloof. And then 20:03:41, it's Goldfields. 20:05, Duran Kloof. And then he decided to stop there.
Yes.
So these are split seconds. So you've got 3 minute difference, 5 minutes, which is 2 minutes difference between 2:03 and 2:05. But he's making it seem like there was actually a stop there. And then Ntanzi's pointing out that actually it even goes farther. When now you stopped at Duran Kloof, but it's going there by 2013. This is like 5 minutes later, it's at Albalholza. It's now at Albalholza. So it means Bedlula. He never stopped at Doran Kloof. Like how Baloyi is trying to make it seem like he actually stopped there and had a conversation with Ntanzi and threatened him. Hi. And then he said it's Vredendal and Potchefstroom when you go farther than Abelhoza. He said there's Kutzong and then there's Vredendal or Potchefstroom. He said he's not sure of the area. Even I'm not sure of the area. Once you get out of the northwest, it depends on where you get out. He said, I don't know the areas going ahead from there. And then Baloyi said, look at 2013-33, the tower was Driefontein Mine, NGA. And then 3 minutes later, it was 2015, the tower is Albalholza, Silas, NGA. Ntanzi said it's easy for him to read the tower because he was traveling on the main road in West Driefontein. He passed by the road on number 8 where I used to work. When he turned the page, it reflects the town Carltonville to show that he was traveling on that road. And Baloyi said, did you say that from shaft number 8 you were working, you can also connect to Abelholza, Silo? And Ntanzi said, I don't know about that. Abelholza is very far from number 8. Baloyi then said, now continue with the course. The number of accused number 3 on the 1st of December 2014 at 2013-33 connected with West Driefontein Mine NGA. The number of accused number 3 on the 1st of December at 2015-18 connected with Abelholza.
Where is this helping?
I don't know.
So, in summary, out of all those call readings, what Baloyi wanted to do is to show that the guy, after 30-something odd days, was around that area or moving around that area for the purposes of threatening Ntanzi. That's all. So, I mean, reading all these things, I don't think we should even go further than that.
Well, Ramasipili did get up eventually and stated that he was standing on the basis of relevance. He has more than 30 transactions where he hears that the device of accused number 3 traveled through some towers and this other tower and other towers. What relevance does it have to do with this witness on the stand? The communication to Mabungu Ntuli, accused number 3 and 5, but to say that there are certain common towers that insofar as Abelholza and this one of Carltonville towers of this world, accused number 5's number ending with 8460, the point that we departed from, he says, it's the 18th of June 2020. We were only talking about the 2 hours East Driefontein and West Driefontein towers, my lord. Now we are on a fishing and trawling expedition. I don't know where it's ending. Baloyi then said, we have indicated firstly that the purpose why we are presenting this evidence is to show that the device of accused number 3 connected with the towers in the area where Driefontein Mine was situated. But there's also further evidence that we want to further refer to regarding this aspect. If counsel can just bite this time and exercise some patience. And the judge says, so it's relevant. And Baloyi said, yes, it is relevant. And Baloyi continued.
Like a small kid. I was considered more Google Penduingani, west of your field. Hey, like a small kid. Mtomdala, gang, mtomdala.
Well, Baloyi continued to read the rest of the towers of accused number 3 on the 1st of December 2014. Then after he asked Ntanzi for a comment, Ntanzi said, I believe Ncube is before the court. When he gets the opportunity, he will answer before the court where he was going. I don't know anything about these towers. And also, accused number 5 is here before the court. Ntanzi said, I thought you would show me where I was in contact with Ncube. If you are not showing me where I was in contact with him, then there's nothing I can answer before the court. And then Baloyi said, but do you agree, Mr. Ntanzi, that some of these towers, for instance, the West Driefontein and Goldfields, are in an area where you worked and lived at the time? Ntanzi said, yes, I can see, but I've complained before in court that when you look at evidence, you must look at it in its entirety. When you look at the towers of Mncube, you see where they come from. They go down to Carltonville. Not to say that they went to where I resided, because here we're talking about the road. Even though exactly what they call it, I don't know it, but the road that goes straight to Carltonville. Baloyi finally got to the point, or so it seems, and he asked, did you meet Mr. Mncube on the 1st of December 2014? Ntanzi said no. And then he said, do you agree that this is about 39 days after the incident on the 26th of October 2014 when accused number 3, Mr. Mncube, connected with this tower? Ntanzi said, I don't know. There's nothing there. Is nothing that connects me to the matters of accused number 3 and accused number 5. Then Baloyi said, as we have indicated, the incident was on the 26th of October 2014. If you count from the 26th of October 2014 to the 1st of December, it's about 39 days. And Ntanzi said, no, I don't know, my lord. The mine in Carltonville did not only hire people with the Ntanzi surname. There are many people there from Dombela, Mteto, and many others. It's not only people from Ntanzi family that is there. Like here in court, maybe when you're off, there would be other people using this court. It's not only us who are using it. Mncube is the one who knows as to where he was going in Carltonville on that day. I won't be responding to the issues of Mncube. I don't know how Mncube, I don't know him. I only know him from this particular case. I would respond better, to the prosecutor had he said, Ntanzi, here is your number, and it called Mncube's number, or Mncube's number called your number. Maybe then I would respond. But then there's nothing that connects me to Mr. Mncube. Then Baloyi said, if you calculate the time spent when the device connected to the Dorenklof SGS-1 at 20:03:23 up to the time when he connected to Carltonville, which is MWMGA at 20:29:07, it's approximately 30 minutes spent around the Carltonville area. Hey, angithi mawudlula ngomgwaqo. Angithi uyahamba nesikhathi naso siyahamba kanti iyenze kanjani? Perhaps if he had said an hour or two, maybe I would understand that he made a stop, but it's 30 minutes. Then Ntanzi said, my lord, here's Mncube. I'm going to ask that he be the one that you're going to count all these things that you're counting to me. There's nothing that connects me with these things of Mncube. He will answer for himself as to what he was doing in Carltonville, not me. Baloyi then said, was it just a coincidence that 39 days later after the incident, he happened to be in Carltonville area? Ramasipilo objected, saying that it's an unfair question. Baloyi said that they think it's a fair question, but they're not going to really dwell on that. It's neither here nor there. Baloyi then said, Mr. Ntanzi, the reason why we are referring you to the cell phone records for accused number 3 is the following. The evidence of Ms. Grenier regarding the confession that she took down the proceedings of the 18th of March 2024, Ms. Grenier, and then he started reading, said, I believe I need to be protected from the group of people who I was with when the whole thing was committed. I was already pointed with a finger as a warning when this thing was done, and I was still a young boy. I'm not sure where else in Gauteng they have been arrested. They were all grown-ups at the time. I also do not trust the police since I believe that they can be easily bribed. Ntanzi said the first response was that I'm going to give is, it says I was a small boy, young. Yet in court, you said I had a beard. Is there a child that has a beard? Is there a person who can threaten you that you do not know and you have never seen him before in your life? The first time you saw them was in Boksburg on the 27th of October 2020. And then he said, here are my papers and here are Mncube's papers. Please show me where I had contact with Mncube in court. You are saying we were friends. Can I please be shown in court where we had contact? So Baloyi then asked, did accused number 3, Mr. Mncube, not come to threaten you on the 1st of December 2014 when he came to Carltonville area? Ntanzi said, no, my lord. Threatening me while he knows me from where? And what would bring us together, myself and him? And then Baloyi said, but you committed the offense together. This is what made Nisi get up now. Ntanzi said, no, you're not telling the truth when you put it that way. Nisi said, that is a very serious allegation. When the state says, but you committed the offense together, that sounds as if the state conclusively placed before the court information.
It's not even an allegation, it's an accusation.
Or evidence.
It's an accusation.
It's not a serious allegation, it's an accusation.
So, like, he's literally accusing them of doing that thing.
That suggests that these offenses that these accused persons are facing here were committed together. That's a very serious allegation, my lord. The court is in the process of trying to prove that specifically the identity of the people who were involved in the commission of this offense, for the state to come and say conclusively as a fact that you committed this together. It's a very serious allegation, my lord. And then the judge said, they say you are making a groundless or baseless accusation.
When you say they say, so I'm biased, man. They say. What are you saying as a judge?
But I said, my lord, the witness is asking what is it that is connecting him to accused number 3, Ncube, and we are saying that the evidence indicates that they committed the offense together. We have the evidence of people who were in the house. We have evidence of Tumelo Madlala. We have evidence of Zandile Kumalo. We have ballistic evidence, confessions. It is not that baseless, my lord. We have that we make that preposition. Nisi said, as it pleases the court.
You might as well just do the job of the judge, because you are the judge in any case.
He has already convicted them in his head. He said that he needs to respond because I raised an objection. I'm replying to the state and what the state is saying regarding Tumelo Madlala, Zandile and the ballistic and everything. I haven't heard Zandile, and that is to mislead the court again. I haven't heard Zandile referring to accused number 3. I haven't heard Tumelo referring to accused number 3. So what does then the state base its assertion that when these offenses were committed, Ntanzi probably and accused number 3, were together? On the basis of what Madlala and Zandile told this court, confession and everything is one thing, my lord. But there's 2 witnesses who testified before here, never mentioned accused number 3 in their evidence. That is before the court here are allegations that the court is still probing. But the state, says that you committed these offenses together as if the state was there witnessing it at the same time at which these offenses were being committed. And he said it's a gross misrepresentation of facts. We are still busy with allegations. What is before court now? Here, these are still allegations that are still going to be investigated, my lord. Then the prosecutor or advocate Baloyi responded. And his response was that the reason why they put that, preposition, it was at the request or the invitation of accused number 2. He asked, how am I connected to Ncube? We are just referring him to the evidence, my lord. As I say, these are matters that will be argued at the end of the case. But
yeah, Matsidi, so it's a verdict, basically.
He said that the invitation, we're just drawing him to the evidence that is against him and accused number 3. So also in the pro forma, Ms. Cronje had written down, I'm not sure where else in Gauteng they have been arrested. Ntanzi said, my lord, if that person was truly my friend and there's any truth in what they are saying, and I don't know where they are arrested as my friend, and I don't know where they are detained, and also on the phone record, there's no way where it shows contact.
You want to know the funny thing?
What?
Wasn't accused number 4 and 3 are arrested, detained in KZN?
They were.
So why wouldn't Ntanzi, if he wrote that, say, I'm not sure where in Gauteng they are detained?
While he was detained in KZN.
While they were detained in KZN, and there are people that he worked with Why wouldn't he know that they were detained in KZN? Only accused number 3 was detained in Joburg. Why would he say, I'm not sure where in Joburg they are detained?
Good point. Baloyi now read Ms. Kronye's evidence, where it said, I now ask the deponent to tell me in his own words how he came to be brought to my office to make the statement. There was a long moment of flipping pages, moments of silence. It was just awkward for a very, one would say, good 5 minutes. Baloyi read the narration of the confession and he said, we all left the hostel in the Polo Vivo at the stop street. Mapisa and Carlos then got into the other Polo vehicle and left. During the drive to the stop street from the hostel, Carlos kept on pointing his finger at me, threatening me. He was also swearing because I was visibly frightened. I forgot to mention that they parted ways. The 4 of them first had a meeting outside of the vehicle. I also forgot to mention that Mthokoziseni asked Carlos at the hostel, are you sure you really hit him? At the stop sign, he pointed me with a finger, saying, I'm telling you. And then Baloyi said he could not say the rest of the words, you know. And then Mnisi objected and wanted to know if the state was done reading, because he said he'll definitely object to that. He said he'll definitely want to object before the witness responds. Baloyi continued reading and he said if he hears anything, he will kill me. He does not know my parental home, but Muzi knows and he will show him. Muzi walked to his place thereafter. Sfiso then said, I must not sleep at my place.
He says in that so-called confession, is he talking about Mncube?
Yes, Carlos.
And according to what has been given in that court, that evidence that has been provided in that court, where are they saying Mncube comes from?
Newcastle.
Mncube.
I forgot, but it's a different area. It's not Nongoma, right? I forgot which area it is. Guys, remind me which area Mncube comes from. But I don't think it's Nongoma.
It is around that area.
Is it?
It's not Mahlabatini.
It's not Mahlabatini.
Where did they say Mncube come from, guys? Remind us.
And I remember Newcastle. I don't know why Newcastle is in my head.
Newcastle is for this guy Ovizwe, Uzungu.
Oh, it's for Zungu. I don't know why Newcastle is in my head. So yeah, it's probably Ubab Zungu, Newcastle, yeah. It's for Zungu, the constable.
Yeah.
He grew up in Newcastle. But where is Mthobisi Mncube? Where is he from? Because he was arrested in Johannesburg.
Yes.
Is it Clayville?
It's fine, I'll find out.
Mnisi then said, my lord, I think the state is well aware of the provision of section 218 of the Criminal Procedure Act that simply to the effect that a confession can only be used against the person who made it without that person ascending to the witness box and confirming or repeating what he has said in the confession, that a confession cannot be used against those people who he or she mentions in the document that it is alleged he made. Before court here, we have Mr. Ntanzi, who repeatedly said that he knows nothing about the contents of that confession. But the state is trying to influence the mind of the court by simply dragging in the name of accused number 3 in this confession, knowing very well that the confession will never be applicable against accused number 3, and that is not me. It is by virtue of the operation of the law. That confession will never be applicable to accused number 3, no matter how the state tries to do that, up until such time that Mr. Ntanzi ascends to the box and then he starts to repeat what is said in that confession. It is therefore improper, highly irregular, which is why I'm saying that the state is trying to influence the mind of the court. Since the approach by the state is to influence the mind of the court, please, dear court, do not forget that there is this name of Mr. Mncube that has also been mentioned in the confession. Inasmuch as the confession might not be applicable against him, I don't know if the state is aware of him. Please bear in mind that his name has always been mentioned in the confession. That is highly irregular, my lord. Baloyi then said, my lord, we beg to differ with the greatest of respect. We have just led objective evidence, cell phone evidence, which placed Mr. Mncube in the vicinity of Carltonville 39 days after the commission of the offense, and we asked Mr. Ntanzi as to whether he met with Mr. Mncube on the 1st of December 2014, and he said no. And all that we're doing is just inviting to comment. The threats that are being mentioned here, they are referring to Mr. Mncube in light of the fact that his cell phone records place him in the vicinity of Carltonville. That is all that we are doing, my lord. There is nothing wrong. We're not talking admissibility. We're just inviting comment, my lord. And when you read this hizo sounding, confession, in my opinion, you can almost conclude that when it is written, we're not even going to say it is being said. When it was written that he pointed the finger at me, he threatened me, he used some swearing words, that sounded like it was after the incident. It was a few, maybe minutes or hours after the incident. It did not make it seem like those threats happened 39 days later. Maybe it's just me. But when I read the confession, that's what happened in my brain. I not once did I think that 39 days passed by before there was those threats. Yeah, bo. Nisi then said there's everything wrong with what the state is doing. Mr. Ntanzi, they asked him a question. Did Mr. Mncube threaten you on the 1st of December 2014? Mr. Ntanzi said no. What was then the reason for the state to refer to the confession when the state knows that the confession is not applicable against the people that are mentioned in the confession, up until such time that the maker of that confession or the maker of that confession gets into the witness box and confirms the content of that confession? Is that not so, my lord? A way of trying to push through the means of those people, actually trying to taint the court's mind about the possible name mentioned in that confession that the court should place in the back of his paradigm. And just as much as we are proceeding here, the court should always bear in mind that it is what has been said. Hence, I'm highly saying, my lord, it is highly irregular. The stage, that I know that a confession was made, hence, I'm saying it is highly irregular. The state knows that a confession can only be used against its owner. For the state to keep referring to other people.
Mncube is from Wanongom.
He's from Kwanongom.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Which is good?
I'm not sure.
I don't think it was mentioned. Do you think it was mentioned? Nah, for God, guys. There's been a lot of details here. There's been a lot of details that we've been dealing with. He said it is also highly irregular, and this is in light of the fact that Mr. Ntanzi already said no, I wasn't threatened. Then why go to the confession and dig up some information that relates to the threat that the state wants to bring to the attention of the court? Ntanzi said, firstly, I don't stay at West, I don't stay at Abelholzer, and I also don't stay in town in Carltonville. I stayed in East Driefontein, Masizakele. When you look at these times that they are around 8 o'clock at night, what would I be doing in town at 8 o'clock at night? I'm asking the court to not confuse matters. I stayed East, the Towers, Mncube, at Carltonville and Abelholzer. What would I be doing in such a faraway place at night? For some people, this may not make sense. What Ntanzi, the question that he's posing, to say, what would I be doing in such a faraway place at night? It's because transport there has a time thing. The people that are working in the mines have got their own transport, obviously, that takes them to work. But then general public transport there, I'm telling you, it's not easy. It's not easy if you don't have your own car. Yeah, it's not easy there. It's not easy to move around, to go to town. It's not that simple.
Yeah, it's from Machamslop.
Machamhlope. Oh yes, I remember Machamhlope being mentioned. Yes. Machamhlope. That's where accused number 3 is from. Mache Amhlope. He said, what would I be doing in such a faraway place at night? Well, the judge said, sorry, Mr. Baloyi. Is it not that the contents of a confession of one accused person is not admissible against another accused person? I know there are exceptions. Baloyi said, yes, the court cannot use the confession to convict, but there is nothing wrong with confronting an accused with the contents of the confession as far as another accused is concerned. It's perfectly permissible. All that is not permissible is that the court cannot use the information in the confession to convict the other accused. But as far as credibility is concerned, in our submission, my lord, the information can always be used to test the credibility of that confession. Yay, Baloyi! He said, it does not mean that the confession is reinforced. It cannot be used at all. And then the judge said, I rule that you cannot do it, okay? This came as a surprise to me because we're so used to... I'm so used to him not caring and letting Advocate Baloyi do as he pleases. But it came as a surprise for him to stop him from doing this, which means perhaps the consequence of it is greater, ne? If he would have allowed him to continue to use the confession of accused number 2 against accused number 3, maybe the consequences are much more severe and it would make him look like a very bad judge, and that's not what he would want. So I guess that's why he put a stop to it, in my opinion, of course. And then Baloyi said, for a conviction, my lord, the judge said, yeah, fine, but I'm putting it blanketly so. You can't use the contents of the confession. Are you with me? And Baloyi said, yes, we will not take that point further. But then he was not done. He said, my lord, I think we have indicated, referred to the objective and all that we're doing. We're just testing the objective evidence, but it's stated in the confession. I see, my lord. And the judge said, you can use the contents of the confession against its maker. There's no problem, but not against a fellow accused. I know there's a doctrine of common purpose which has some exceptions, as we all know. And Baloyi said, this is the confession of accused number 2. Yes, I am aware of the doctrine of common purpose, but you want to use the contents of this confession against a fellow accused. And I say, no, it's inadmissible. Well, Baloyi said, no, as I say, my lord, with the greatest of respect, we'll abide by that. But we are just trying to explain the reason why we are doing this, because this is accused number 2's own confession, and we're trying to test this against the earlier evidence, the objective evidence of cell phone records. That is all that we're trying to do. The judge surprisingly stood his ground and said, no, I differ. And then Baloyi said, we'll abide. The judge then asked for the time, and it was 3:06 at the time. Well, Ntanzi was not done. He actually raised his hand and said that another thing on the paper of Mncube, since he says Mncube was in Carltonville, Ntanzi asked that they cut this page and put his cell phone records next to these ones, and Mncube's phone, and see if they ever shared the same towers on that day, he stated before the court. I think Ntanzi has forgotten that his Section 205s are from 2018, I don't know. He's forgotten that extra detail. He said, I'll ask for the time and the date and everything here. The judge said, Mr. Ramasipili, you want your client to represent himself? Ramasipili said, no, my lord. The judge, so you are just not commenting, because if he does this, it opens up certain avenues of the law which are very detrimental to him. I want to be fair. You must tell him there are consequences to asking a question without knowing the entanglements that you are exposing. And then court adjourned.
Court adjourned. Can we adjourn? Can we adjourn? Let me see the likes. The likes are not liking. The likes are not liking. Right. Let's give 3 people a chance to call in and have
3 calls.
less than 2 minutes, guys, just to make your point. Make your point, and let's see what you guys have to say.
So it seems Advocate Baloyi wants to overstretch this after recess, ne?
Yeah.
He wants to survive this week. He will stretch. If he has to read one sentence for 5 minutes.
Majamhlope, they fall under Nongoma. They are just far from Kwahlabisa side, closer to Kwahlabisa side. But they fall under a Nongoma. Mkhanyakude.
Okay. All right.
Mkhanyakude lo. The lines are open. Let's hear what you guys have to say. Let's hear. It's like, okay, yes. Ntanzi, hello.
Hello, Anna.
Yes, sir, how are you?
I'm good, man. Only disappointed about the progress of the case.
Yeah.
I wanted to comment on Majamhlope.
Yeah.
It looks like I was actually trying to search it, but I might be wrong. It looks like it's in Ngwavuma. If I tried to locate it by GPS.
No, it's
So
it's under Nongoma.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's under Nongoma. It's under Mkhanyakude.
By demarcation.
Yes. But it's 50 kilometers to even more than that. Nongoma is that
check
big.
it. Please check it properly. I have an idea of Nongoma as well.
Yeah.
I have an idea because so we used to travel around just a bit and quite a bit.
Yeah, no, it's under
it
Nongoma.
might be a bit of a distance.
It is far. It is far apart from.
Because Nongoma, I know that by demarcation, like a place called the Mashobeni, for example.
Yes.
I wouldn't want to say the reasons why I'm quoting that particular place.
Yeah.
You find almost next to Pongola after you've passed Inkunzane, the river, which is next to Eskodwe and Wakangela Mankengan, for example.
Yes.
It's a bit of a distance. It's more than like 75 km. And you get another road. It has a name that I've forgotten now, but it's a gravel road because they were not getting taken care of, those people there, of which I'm part of them. You travel a bit. Well, using that gravel road, you can travel right through. You pass by Josin just a bit before you ngenele Manguzo, hambi yongenele Ngwavuma, and pass Indumo as well. Majamhlope. You might find kunesibhedlela in Ngwavuma called. There is a hospital there called Mosfoldia, which is by demarcation.
Yeah, by demarcation. Yeah, it falls under Hlabisa. It falls under Hlabisa. Sorry, it falls under Hlabisa. And then Usuthu falls Nongoma. So
no, Usuthu uzoba kwaNongoma ngakuvuma lokho kalula. Kodwa ngapha ubuya kwelinye side because mangabe usuyodlulela ngale kubo Josin udlule ngathi usondela kubo Manguzo usondela neborder yase Mozambique.
Sure.
By the way,
no, under Mkhanyakude.
Ngempela
Majamhlope under Mkhanyakude bese kuzothi uNongoma.
Ngayisearcha kusasa futhi ngizoxolisa kwamanje. Ngiyayigetsha. Kodwa kungenzeka ukuthi ngempela ukuthi lo mfana ngoba nami ngifuna ukuyibeka ekudeni kangaka mhlawumbe I'm being too biased just because I want to confirm ukuthi phela kamazi. Isekudeni kakhulu but man for it to fall in any way under the municipal demarcation of Nongoma. Emashobeni I will forgive. Usuthu, that is for sure. Hey, but lema baby ngizengazama nokucheck i-GPS because ngiyaqala nokuzwa igama.
No, Majamhlope is under Hlabisa, man.
Okay, sure. No.
Yeah, the Usuthu under Nongoma, Majamhlope under Hlabisa.
Cha, angiyibambi bemfishane mfowethu, angiyibambi bemfishane. So
Oh, okay.
So they
Siyabonga,
are
mfowethu.
far.
So these are not just Nongoma boy, but
They are not from the same hood. Like the way it's being placed in court. Because if Macham Shop is so far away,
close to 50 to 100 kilometers.
how many kilometers? So if it's that distance, then that's a distance.
50 to 100 kilometers.
50 to 100 kilometers from Nongo.
Yeah.
That's far.
Washabisa. Isn't it closer to Mtubatu?
No, that's quite a distance. That's a long distance. So that's interesting. So it means they would maybe meet in Johannesburg and socialize in Johannesburg. Maybe that's why there's these pictures of them together.
Yeah, Washabisa is more closer to, it's like under Mtubatu, yeah, or closer to Mtubatu. If I'm not mistaken.
Why do you want to know where accused number 3 resided? What was the main point that you were thinking about?
For someone that Baloyi claims that they are friends, they know each other.
Oh, with accused number 2.
Yes.
Why
would he say accused number 2 knows where you accused number 1 knows where you stay?
That's far.
Mozi knows where you stay.
Know. He wouldn't know. The way Majam Shop 150 to 100 kilometers, that's a long distance.
It is.
And farther than that, there are age difference.
Yeah, it's around 36, 38.
And they've never resided in the same place in Gauteng. Also think about that. Accused number 3 has always been based in Johannesburg.
Is Rustenburg under Gauteng?
Yeah, I think recently they made it fall under Gauteng. It used to fall under Northwest. There was a time, I think around 2013, 2014, somewhere there, they made it fall under Gauteng. The ANC decided to make it fall under Gauteng. Apparently the map, it was a map issue. They were saying that the map cut somewhere and then Rustenburg fell under Gauteng now. That's what I remember. I could be wrong. I forgot. A lot has happened. Because I remember, because where I come from, it's like close to the Northwest. You walk and then you enter the Northwest. So there were other areas that used to fall under the Northwest. Now they were falling under Gauteng.
Yeah. It's the issue from Zimkul. And KZN.
So is Rustenburg under the Northwest or Gauteng?
Northwest.
Or is still under Northwest?
Yeah.
Okay. My bad. My bad. I confused it maybe with Brits. Because I think Brits is the one that fell under Gauteng. So it's still under Northwest. What about Carltonville? Because I think the similar situation happened with Carltonville. Is it still under Gauteng or is it under the Northwest? I think a similar thing happened with Carltonville. It's been long. Want to peel up. It's been long. I can't even remember what year it was. I remember areas that used to fall under Northwest falling under Gauteng.
Well,
Carltonville. It's under Gauteng now.
It's Northwest Province.
Oh, it's still under Northwest. Carltonville.
That's what I'm getting here.
Okay. So yeah, So that's why even Nisi was saying that Western area and Carltonville, they don't fall under the same place. It makes sense. Makes sense. So yes, guys. Is anybody else going to call in? Do you have another caller?
That's a no. No one is calling. No one is calling. We thank you.
Hi, we thank you guys. It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
I know Cartonville falls under Gauteng.
Oh, now it falls under Gauteng. It used to fall under Northwest. Oh, guys.
Yeah. It falls under.
There was a map situation. They were saying that the map of Gauteng is reflected like this in real life. And then some areas that before used to fall under Northwest, now they fell under Gauteng. That thing happened. It was very confusing. Even to this day, I still can't get used to it. There were certain areas that used to fall under Northwest. Now they are in Gauteng.
Yeah. Asbong, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us. Until tomorrow, it's a bye from us.